NBA that we alluded to, the Nets have fired Jacque Vaughn. Let's welcome in our NBA reporter, Brian Windhorst. And look, the Nets sit currently at 11th in the East. Windy, what perspective can you offer as to what led Brooklyn to make the decision right now?
Yeah, Shay, well, just after Christmas, the Nets were 15-15, thinking about being buyers at the trade deadline and really thinking they were going to be a good chance to be a playoff team. Since that time, they are 6-18, bottom 10 in offense, bottom 10 in defense. And I think more importantly about why this happened now, the team morale has been very, very low in recent weeks. The team has been frustrated by Jacque Vaughn's offensive schemes at times. They have not been able to get any traction with Ben Simmons' return to the lineup. And so they're trying to salvage this season. And they're in 11th place, and they don't control their draft pick. That is controlled by Houston going forward because of the James Harden trade, which, as you know, he is long gone. So they are under some pressure to get this thing turned around, and it's going to be done with a different head coach.
Yep, and 2+ seasons as the Nets head coach. Vaughn was 71-68 in the regular season, 0-8 in the postseason. Not good. We'll see where they go from here. Brian Windhorst, don't go anywhere. We will talk to you in just a moment.
Yeah, we will, because we're going to be talking about 397 as the point total in the NBA All-Star game. The East and West All-Star teams combined for 397 points, shattering the previous mark of 374 combined back in 2017 at New Orleans. Karl Anthony Towns dropped 50 of those points off the bench. The East responsible for 211 of nearly 400 points, the most by any team in an All-Star game. That beat the previous mark of 196 set by the West in 2016. And the two teams knocked down 67 threes between them. That handily beat the mark of 62 combined threes from 2019. In Charlotte, Damian Lillard, game MVP, knocked down 11 trays. So Brian Windhorst, depending on where you looked on social media, people were pretty turned off by last night. 400 points scored in the All-Star game. What are you hearing about the league office's reaction to how this whole thing played out?
Well, let me tell you who was turned off. The commissioner, Adam Silver, who went through the post-game trophy presentation, if you want to call it that, with a lot of vinegar in his voice. He really made some changes to this event that he thought was going to get the players to show more competitive spirit. He even kind of quasi-promised it on Saturday night in his annual address with the media, thinking that the changes and the conversations he had would lead to improvement, and that did not happen. And, you know, the players this year have sort of been asked three things. One, to not rest as much for national television televised games, and that came with financial penalties to teams that didn't comply. That, for the most part, has happened, and there's been a couple of fines given out. Two, for the players to care about the in-season tournament, which came with a $500,000 bonus for winning, $300,000 for second, and that worked, and the players talked about the money the whole time. And then three, this All-Star improvement, which came with no financial incentive, and you see the result. So it's sort of the unspoken thing, Matt. If you want this to change, you might have to come up with some money, and Adam Silver probably not thrilled about that.
Yeah, look, it just comes out like if they're not going to care, why should we kind of thing. And it was just kind of embarrassing for the NBA. And a game that, by the way, back in the 90s used to be really, really good. And before the All-Star game, another big conversation piece, LeBron James made some comments on his future and his time in L.A. Take a listen.
I have not mapped out how many seasons I have left. I know it's not that many. I also don't know if I will. I was asked this question a couple of days ago. Will you kind of take the farewell tour, or will you kind of just Tim Duncan it? I'm 50-50, but I am a Laker, and I am happy and been very happy being a Laker the last 6 years, and hopefully it stays that way. But I don't have the answer to how long it is, or which uniform I'll be in. Hopefully it is with the Lakers. It's a great organization and so many greats, but we'll see. I don't know how it's going to end, but it's coming. It's coming for sure.
I mean, those are some comments we haven't heard from him maybe ever, Wendy. You know him as well as anyone. You've covered him since high school. What did you make of LeBron yesterday in his comments?
Yeah, a couple of things. First off, just you have to understand LeBron is negotiating. He's negotiating for potentially his last contract. He doesn't want to leave the Lakers. He certainly doesn't want to walk away from the $50 million they can pay him next year. And quite frankly, if he opts out of his contract in June, he could sign for 3 years in an excess of $150 million. And it might take a little negotiation to get there, and so that's part of it. The other thing is, I think that he hasn't closed the door on potentially going somewhere else as part of that negotiation strategy. I do think the discussions that took place between the Lakers and Warriors should be remembered and are relevant. I don't think that's the direction he's going to go, but let's see how this season ends for both of those teams, and I'm not going to close any doors because he's not either.
Yeah, and look, here's the one thing we know about LeBron. He's going to be front and center of the conversation until he, in fact, decides he wants to walk away, and the Lakers begin their second half schedule Thursday at the Warriors. Speaking of the second half, we want to get your 3 Windy wonders, these second half storylines that you, Windy, find the most intriguing.
Well, you know it's going to be we're going to start with the Lakers because that's what we do here at ESPN. The Lakers have won 8 of their last 11 games, and in that stretch, Matt, if you can believe it, they've been the most potent offensively since 1987. That's right. Prime Showtime was the last time they were this good offensively. It's been led by D'Angelo Russell. The key for me is how healthy is LeBron's ankle. He hinted he might need to miss more time for some treatment, including Thursday's game against the Warriors as a possibility. Okay, the Warriors themselves. Now, they come into the break on a hot streak, and they've made a big, important lineup change. This is what I call the 2-timeline starting lineup. Brandon Pajemski has replaced Klay Thompson. Jonathan Kuminga is in there, and then they have their 3 guys, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, who are part of their championship team. Can this lineup continue to produce results? And speaking of needing results, Matt, that would be the Milwaukee Bucks, and instantly. They go in, sort of limp in to the break, just 3-7 with Doc Rivers as head coach. I was just going to say, they are playing better defense. They've gone from one of the worst defensive teams in the league to one of the sort of middle of the pack. That's improvement. But they've gone from one of the best offensive teams to one of the worst offensive teams. Now, I believe that they're going to figure it out. There's some data that supports that their shooting should be better. And Dame Lillard's been in a terrible slump since January 1st. Maybe this great All-Star weekend, 3-point champ and MVP will get him out of that for the Bucks, who need wins coming immediately.